Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared.
I mean, I've had lots of conversations with people on the other side of the aisle, too. I mean, right, I've done podcasts with Sam Harris, and we've talked about atheism, or I've done debates with Anna Kasparian, or I've done a debate with Cenk Uygur, or I've had conversations with lots of people on the other side of the aisle. In fact, I believe I'm the only person on the right who recommends that people listen to shows on the other side of the aisle, right? I mean,
hey, what's going on, folks? We have a great show for you today. Tim Pool decided to apologize to me after his former co-host did a huge expose live stream.
I think it's funny. I'll give a shout out to Anomaly, because he's been saying some stuff about us for a while, So I apologize. I don't know what happened, and if employees here were acting inappropriately, there's only so much I can do and can know about, and I don't want to call it an excuse or not an excuse, but it's reality, man. I don't handle the booking for the show. I literally don't.
I'm going to cover that at the end of the stream, so stay tuned. And Ben Shapiro took a shot at President Trump for having dinner with Kanye West and his friends, saying, a good way to not accidentally dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you don't know is not to dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you don't know. Yet Ben Shapiro loves to brag about having friends on the left like Sam Harris, who said this.
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared.
But that's Ben Shapiro's rule. He's allowed to hang out and say happy birthday to his friends, some of which are total scammers, psychopaths, and degenerates.
It's one of the strangenesses of our politics. It's what I've called the happy birthday problem, which is I have a lot of friends who are of the left and are publicly of the left. And on my birthday, they'll send you a text message, happy birthday, but they will never tweet happy birthday, lest they be acknowledging that you were born of woman. And this can't be allowed. So on the Sunday special, I've had a bevy of people who are on the other side of the aisle, a lot of them.
But Donald Trump isn't allowed to go to dinner with Kanye West and someone that Ben Shapiro doesn't like. I'm not trying to be petty. This story is important because a lot of conservatives like Gwen Shapiro are total frauds, total hypocrites, total gatekeepers, and they're deceiving the American people. For years when it mattered, Ben Shapiro was wrong about the COVID vaccine.
And we have seen a tremendous amount of vaccine hesitancy, unfortunately, in the Black and Hispanic community. Okay, Black America, only 67% of Black Americans say they definitely will get the vaccine or probably get the vaccine. So the Black community has tremendous vaccine hesitancy. The people who should be ripped up and down right now are people like Louis Farrakhan, who's literally going out there and telling his millions of followers.
And even recently admitted that.
It is now perfectly clear that we were lied to. And we were lied to at a very high level from very, very early on by both.
Yet in the heat of it, he was bullying people, calling them dopes, trying to bully Black Americans into getting the vaccine, while complaining about Louis Farrakhan, who was telling Black people to not get it.
And yet here was Louis Farrakhan doing just that. Democratic members of Congress have met with this guy. They continue to meet with this guy. Have you seen a headline about this? Here's Louis Farrakhan, who has many, many followers, talking about how the COVID vaccine is...
And now Gwen Shapiro, I'm going to call him Gwen, has the nerve to condemn his own coworker Candace Owens for not feeling like he feels about Kanye West.
She proffered confusion of what Ye was actually talking about. And then she, was defending her friend. I wish that the way that she had responded was by saying, he's my friend, and also he said something bad and anti-Semitic. I wish that she had said that. Right, so
Right away.
Yeah. What if I told you, Ben, that your opinion and perspective isn't as important or accurate as you think it is? You're constantly wrong about stuff, yet you want to act on your high and mighty cancel culture throne to cancel others who talk to people you don't want them to. I'm going to have lots of clips this live stream. It's going to be a good one. Hope you're having a great day. The show starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Rare Podcast today. I appreciate you joining me on a Sunday, and it's been an interesting 24 hours. Tim Pool finally addressed what happened when they booked me months ago and kind of left me stranded in the middle of nowhere, and I felt that they were treating me like garbage. He finally responded to it because one of his co-hosts did this whole expose, and I guess he was airing out, his opinion, and he mentioned it. So I'm going to play that full clip of what Tim said to me. And I do want to say I accept the apology. I don't like to hold grudges. I don't. It didn't sit right with me, and all I wanted was like a answer because what happened wasn't right. So I appreciate what he said, but we're gonna play that clip because it's pretty funny or interesting. But the main story of the day, Ben Shapiro and this is the main story. I know a lot of people are probably gonna say, and I'm not gonna be able to see the comments until the end because I have like 10 video clips to play. But a lot of people will be like, I don't care about this. I care about the news. This is just drama with Ben Shapiro and Trump, and I'm sick of both of them. Well, here's the thing. Donald Trump is running for president, and he's probably, if not definitely, the front runner for the Republican Party. So Trump isn't just like nobody, like, oh, let's just throw him away, not talk about it. It's like he's going to run for president. He has a high chance of running the country. Also, he's the most influential person still in the conservative party. And if you consider yourself a libertarian, conservative, and honest, disassociated progressive that doesn't know where you are, this guy's kind of leading the truther movement as well. So it's not like we could just stop talking about it or something just because people don't want to hear my opinion. I get it, but it's important. And same with Ben Shapiro. I think he's one of the biggest news analysts in the country. He runs one of the best conservative outlets. I'm not just going to sit and bash the guy. I think Daily Wire does a great job. They got some superstars over there. I think Matt Walsh, Candace are interesting and doing good stuff. But in general, this is almost like something that's been close to me for years that's now being exposed to the public. Like this was all happening, just like Kanye West said with the music industry. This has all been happening behind closed doors. And for years, you almost seem crazy. It reminds me of that meme of Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's got like a map behind him and he's pointing all over the place. Like, see what I'm talking? And everyone's like, dude, you look like a maniac. So it's a little easier to explain now that it's all out in the open. And I don't think it's a small issue. I think it's a huge issue because I personally, and I've said this before, I think a lot of right-wingers just point to the left. And it's easy to do and it's funny to do. And that you should do it, I think, to a large extent because the left is a huge issue culturally. But at the end of the day, just making fun of the other side doesn't say why we're losing the culture in the media. And, there's got to be something else going on besides the left sucking if we're allowing the left to suck, or if our country's being conquered and, our values are being thrown to the side. There's got to be a reason we're losing if we really have. So this isn't a small issue, in my opinion. It's a huge issue. And I think, getting rid of the gatekeepers in the Republican Party, or at least having a dialogue about how they're blacklisting and censoring the truth, is similar to what Trump, the reason people like Trump in 2016. Oh, we can't just sit and say, oh, Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney, they're just like us. Like, yeah, they're Americans, but, they're not my leader. I'm not getting led by Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney and John McCain. So at a certain point, the Republicans, just like Trump, came through and said, we got to stop acting like we're all best friends and really have a discussion because where you're leading us into war. I mean, Mitt Romney at this point, he's very close to a Democrat in most values. So this is the same thing that's going on in conservative media. And if we don't kind of do this bulldoze through it and have a discussion about it, we're going to keep failing and getting misled. So I'll read the Ben Shapiro tweet in my best Ben Shapiro impression. Ben Shapiro threw some jabs at President Trump today, which is fine, obviously. But he said, a good way to not accidentally dine with a vile racist and an anti-Semite you don't know is not to dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you don't know. So, he's basically, without saying Trump's name, mocking him and being like, oh yeah, you didn't know this racist and anti-Semite. The ripe irony of it, before I get into all the video clips I'm going to play, is this is the same thing the left does to everybody else. Oh, you're friends with Ben Shapiro, the racist? Oh, we shouldn't let him speak on a college campus. So Ben is like the ultimate fraud and the ultimate hypocrite. Instead of having a discussion about why he disagrees with Kanye or Nick Fuentes, he just cries racist and anti-Semitism in the same way liberals do to him to try to blacklist him from opportunities. And he's trying to essentially blame Trump for Kanye's dinner guest. And a lot of people are starting to say it was like an operative. They're thinking like Milo purposely did it. And the more I think about it, the more I think that it probably is Kanye taking a jab at his competition. If Kanye truly wants to run for president and win, Trump is competition. So it might have been kind of a sneaky move on Kanye's part. But here's the thing. I don't know his true intentions, but what he's doing is important either way because this game that Republicans are playing is so fake. Sadly, it takes a Kanye West to come through with anti-Semites to really expose a bigger issue, which is not just what Nick Fuentes talked about or what Milo did. It's the fact that the Republican Party is selling out our free speech with speech laws. I've been talking about that for years, but nobody understands it because it's confusing. Without further ado, I just want to play this clip real quick. I got a bunch of clips, so I want to start getting through them. This is Ben Shapiro talking about the vaccine a year ago or 2 years ago and basically trying to bully black people into getting the vaccine. And the reason I'm playing this clip is not just to rehash old times. It's because at the time, and I can't play the clip of Louis Farrakhan because Louis Farrakhan is banned from Facebook. So I'm just going to let people know. I'm not going to just say, oh, I'm going to let myself get censored. I'm going to funnel that traffic to my Telegram page and my Twitter page. My Twitter page is Legendary Energy. You can find the full clip of Farrakhan and Ben Shapiro there. Or you could go to my Telegram Dream Rare chat, and I'm going to post that full video after I get done with this video. So I'm just going to funnel traffic to Twitter and other places that allow more free speech. But, Louis Farrakhan was telling black people in 2020, don't get the vaccine, don't trust Bill Gates, don't trust Fauci. Big Pharma has a sketchy history. And Ben Shapiro was calling people dopes and telling black people basically like, oh, you're so dumb for not getting the vaccine. So the reason I'm playing this clip is because Ben Shapiro constantly says that, Louis Farrakhan is hate speech and you can't listen to him. But it's like, just like when Louis Farrakhan says something I hate, I could consider it hate speech. I hate the fact that Ben Shapiro sold the vaccine to 100 million people. Why is that not hate speech? Why is Ben Shapiro being wrong about the most fundamental issue of our time? Why is that okay, but something someone else says aren't okay? This is why we can't allow anybody, whether it's left-wing media, right-wing media, or Ben Shapiro, be the moral arbiters, because they constantly call hate speech and racism on people that are sadly right about issues they were wrong about. So here's the clip of Ben, and I'll basically just fill in what Farrakhan said so I don't, get the whole video taken down.
And we have seen a tremendous amount of vaccine hesitancy, unfortunately, in the Black and Hispanic community. Okay, Black America, only 67% of Black Americans say they definitely will get the vaccine or probably get the vaccine. So the Black community has tremendous vaccine hesitancy. The people who should be ripped up and down right now are people like Louis Farrakhan, who's literally going out there and telling his millions of followers that the COVID vaccine is a vial of death. Have you seen any media coverage of this? If a major conservative figure who had met with a bunch of members of Congress were out there literally telling people that the COVID vaccine was a vial of death, that would be at the front of every single newspaper, right? Conservatives deny vaccine efficacy. And yet here was Louis Farrakhan doing just that. Democratic members of Congress have met with this guy. They continue to meet with this guy. Have you seen a headline about this? Here's Louis Farrakhan, who has many, many followers, talking about how the vaccine is...
He's like, who really needs to be condemned is Louis Farrakhan for telling people not to get the vaccine. I understand that his rhetoric might have been too strong for Ben Shapiro, who was falling for the propaganda of how great the efficacy was when it was. Yeah, we get it, Ben. You almost pooped your pants. But, the funniest part was he was basically trying to gain support with his audience and being like, come on, this guy's an anti-Semite. Come on, this guy meets with Ilhan Omar. Come on, this guy's the Nation of Islam. Come on. But if you listen to what Louis Farrakhan said about the vaccine in 2020, I'm not going to say what he said because I'm Anomaly and he's Louis Farrakhan. So I know Facebook and YouTube are like psychotic organizations that'll like ban you for posting a news clip, but I'm not responsible for what he said. If I was, I'd say it myself. But basically he was saying, don't get it. Don't trust the pharmacy. They have a history of corruption. He called out Dr. Fauci in 2020. This is Louis Farrakhan. He called out Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates. And he basically told black people in America and all people, I wouldn't get the vaccine. So Ben, this is why it's important not to call hate speech, because there's certain things that I hate that Louis Farrakhan says. Don't get it twisted. I'm not him. There's some things that I hate that Ben Shapiro says, but there's no such thing as hate speech, because if Ben Shapiro tells hundreds of millions of people to go get a product that he now admits he pretty much regrets getting and he wouldn't have got in hindsight, he said, probably I wouldn't have gotten it. Why is that not hate speech to mislead 100 million people with a pharmacy product that it doesn't work like you thought it did? But if Louis Farrakhan hurts my feelings racially or says something mean about history, then that's worse than you misleading hundreds of millions of people in the present moment. I find it hard to say, you could have an opinion that one's worse than the other, but at the end of the day, Ben Shapiro was wrong about that topic. And the way he garnered support was by pointing and saying, that guy's so hateful. That guy's trying to mislead black people. Here's a clip of him real quick. And this is why I'm starting to despise this guy. Candace Owens, say what you want about the girl or the woman, the mother. Now she's a mother, I think, of 2 kids. Her take on vaccines is braver and bolder than anybody at her level. You know, the only people that take it to the level that Candace takes it to is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's a Democrat. Maybe Dr. Shiva. I'm not, there's very few people, but like Candace is very famous. No one at her stature takes it to the level that she does to criticize big pharma and the vaccine industry. And she does a lot of stuff that Ben doesn't know or he's wrong about. Like he's constantly giving bad opinions about like pharma products always. And then he admits he made a mistake 2 years later. Then he has the nerve to go on Lex Fridman's podcast and basically be like, I wish Candace would have been like me in response to Kanye West.
She proffered confusion of what Ye was actually talking about. And then she, was defending her friend. I wish that the way that she had responded was by saying, he's my friend, and also he said something bad and anti-Semitic. I wish that she had said that. Right, so
Right away.
Yeah. I wish that Candace Owens said what I wanted her to say about Kanye West right away. Well, guess what, Gwendolyn Shapiro? You're not right about a lot of stuff. So I want you to go back in time and stop lying to people in 2020 about virtually every aspect of what was going on with the big pharma rollout. But you were wrong about that. Candace wasn't wrong about it, in my opinion. I wasn't wrong about it. Louis Farrakhan, I mean, he said some things I wouldn't say per se, but even his take probably ages somewhat better than yours, or if not a lot better than yours. Oh, but you have a problem with what she said about Kanye. Guess what, Ben? Candace isn't you, and we don't want her to be. And I don't want to be you, and no one wants to be you. You're a fraud. You're a weasel. You're a liar. You're scum. You're deceiving the American people. You support speech laws. You say facts don't care about your feelings, but you support speech laws and rules and racism and anti-Semitism. That's a bias for your own people. And then you support speech laws in the United States of America that say it's anti-Semitism to suggest you're even doing it. And then you're whining and dining with Netanyahu and Jordan Peterson and then crying anti-Semitism. If people think you have a bias towards the country you have a bias to, you weasel. We know what you're doing, you fraud. Yet you have this condescending tone talking down to everybody else. Well, I wish she would have said what I said. Why? Who wants to be a little, 40-year-old weasel that looks like, talks like a freaking lawyer lying through his teeth all the time? You have no passion. You have no spirit. You have no moral high ground. I'm tired of this guy trying to bully everybody in the conservative movement. Well, Candace needs to bow down to me. Well, he needs to bow down. Shut up, weasel. You're not smart. You're not honest. If I were to have lunch with Putin and then someone said, hey, Anomaly might be loyal to Russia, and I said, oh, that's anti-Russian. Oh my gosh, that's hate speech. That's hate speech. You're an anti-Semite. Wouldn't you think I'm a liar? Or if I had dinner with the head of Poland, I'm part Polish. If I had dinner with the head of Poland and then you said, hey, Anomaly, are you loyal to Poland? And I said, oh, that's anti-Polish. Wouldn't you think I'm a liar? Of course. So when Ben has dinner with Netanyahu, and Ben obviously has a massive pro-Israel bias, Ben obviously has a massive Jewish bias, he supports speech rules and laws for his race and ethnic group and religion that he wouldn't for others, that's fine. I don't even care that he has a bias towards whatever. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the fact that he'll literally call you Nazism or racist or anti-Semitism for telling the truth about what he's doing. He doesn't support the First Amendment. He supports speech laws that are being passed through Congress by people like DeSantis and Trump, being lobbied by multi-million-dollar donors to destroy the United States concept of free speech. And while it's happening, he's smearing people as Nazis and racist and anti-Semites. He's the biggest weasel in the conservative movement. He's the biggest fraud. And I'm not tied down to any sort of constraints where I have to act like he's great. These people have already blacklisted me for 3 to 4 years. You think I'm not more impressive than most of their staff? Of course, everybody would rather watch me than their little goofy, co-hosts that they have. But whatever, I don't need a position. I'm just saying other people know what I'm saying is true. Everybody in the industry is like, yo, I love Anomaly stuff, man. I wish I could say that. I can say it, though. Stop talking down to everybody else. You talk down to Louis Farrakhan, that's fine, but you were wrong about a big topic and he wasn't. So maybe instead of crying hate speech, you should, hate yourself or something for a little bit and then love yourself once you redevelop yourself. But you're so busy trying to police what Farrakhan says, what Fuentes says, what Kanye says, what Trump says, who Trump goes to dinner with, what Candace thinks about this and that. You're so busy trying to police everybody else, you forgot to look at your own opinions, and your own opinions don't cut it, buddy. And when you realize that his opinions don't cut it, he backflops and says, "Oh, you're too bad of a person to debate." He only debates 18-year-old liberals and Sam Harris because if he ever debated right-wingers that knew he was a liar, he'd look like an idiot. So he runs away, cries Nazi and cries anti-Semite, and then subverts the country. And then has the nerve to talk down to his own coworker and be like, "I wish he would have said what I said." Well, I wish your take on vaccines was more similar than hers. What about that? And guess what? Your take on vaccines versus Candace's take on vaccine is a topic that affects more people than her opinion on Kanye West. So your little petty, safe space, liberal, snowflake, fraudulent little world you live in, "I wish Candace would have said what I said." Who cares what you think, bro? You're wrong about some of the biggest topics that face humanity, but you're concerned about who Donald Trump has dinner with. "Oh, the best way to have a dinner with no anti-Semite and racist is not to have a dinner with anti-Semite and racist." Shut up, you weasel. Here's a clip of Lex Fridman, who also blocked me on Twitter because, he only cares about individuals and groups don't matter. Yet when you treat him as an individual, he cries World War II and says that his group is everything and you can't disrespect his group. What group? I thought you weren't part of a group. Well, I'm not part of a group when you criticize it, but I am part of a group when I use it as a victim card. Yeah, once I called out Lex Fridman and got thousands of retweets, he blocked me too. That's fine. Guess I'll never get on that podcast circuit. But I like Lex Fridman, and he actually called out Shapiro, and he's like, some people say you only debate college students whose brains aren't even developed, and it's pretty funny.
Shapiro destroys leftists. It's usually just like you said, the other side is doing the trolling, because the people that do criticize you for that interaction is the people that usually get destroyed are like 20 years old, and they're usually not sophisticated in any kind of degree. In terms of being able to use logic and reason and facts and so on.
And that's totally fine, by the way. I mean, if people want to criticize me for speaking on college campuses where a lot of political conversation happens, both...
Nobody's criticizing you for speaking on college campuses. We're laughing at you because your most viral videos are you in your 30s debating a 17-year-old liberal, and that's like the cream of the crop. Yet when it comes to people on your side that want to have conversations, you cry Nazism, racist, and anti-Semitism, run away, and act like you're too superior. "Oh, I'm too busy to debate them." Because you're debating 17-year-olds. And then he brings up the Sam Harris. He's like, "Oh, no, look, I debate people that I disagree with. I debate Sam Harris and Cenk Uygur from the young, the Young Turks."
That's fine. I mean, I've had lots of conversations with people on the other side of the aisle, too. I mean, right, I've done podcasts with Sam Harris, and we've talked about atheism, or I've done debates with Anna Kasparian, or I've done a debate with Cenk Uygur, or I've had conversations with lots of people on the other side of the aisle. In fact, I believe I'm the only person on the right who recommends that people listen to shows on the other side of the aisle, right? I mean, I say on my show on a fairly regular basis that people should listen to Pod Save America. Now, no one on Pod Save America will ever say that somebody should listen to my show. That is verboten. That is not something that can be had.
Why is Ben Shapiro telling his audience to listen to Pod Save America, the most establishment, normie, left-wing podcast ever? I'm all for listening to both sides, but it's like, do you get the world that he's painting? Who gets to decide who's a more moral person for you to listen to? Whether you agree with this live stream or not, I'm not the one out here smearing all these other people as if like they're not even allowed to exist in the sphere and I won't debate them and you can't eat dinner. I don't care if Sam Harris eats dinner with Netanyahu and Jordan Peterson like he did, or Scam Harris. But who gets to is Sam Harris a more righteous person than Nick Fuentes? I mean, I don't really know. I guess it depends how you figure this stuff out, but it's like he surrounds himself by people that are not the most ethical or honest, and they support policies which I would consider egregious. But that's okay because he's allowed to have friends on the other side. But Donald Trump's not. Keep in mind he's smearing Donald Trump today as a racist and an anti-Semite, or he's eating with racists and anti-Semites. What do I call it if he eats dinner with somebody who supports, foreign wars that kill millions of people and, policies that people think are killing 20 million people and just like everything the opposite of conservatives? Why is he allowed to eat dinner with those type of people, but you're not even allowed to listen to a podcast of somebody that's too far right for Ben? I just don't understand it.
It's one of the strangenesses of our politics. It's what I've called the happy birthday problem, which is I have a lot of friends who are of the left and are publicly of the left. And on my birthday, they'll send you a text message, happy birthday, but they will never tweet happy birthday, lest they be acknowledging that you were born of woman. And this can't be allowed. So on the Sunday special, I've had a bevy of people who are on the other side of the aisle, a lot of them, ranging from people in Hollywood like Jason Blum to Larry Wilmore to Sam to, just a lot of people on the left. I think we're in the near future probably going to do a Sunday special with Ro Khanna up in California, the California congressperson. Very nice guy. I had him on the show. Like that kind of stuff is fun and interesting.
Yeah, Ro Khanna, the left-wing progressive. I mean, I have him on the show. I have Sam Harris on the show. But if Donald Trump attends a dinner with someone who's friends with Kanye West and Trump didn't even know he was going to be there, then that's a problem. But I'm allowed to have dinner with someone like this guy. This is okay for me to have dinner with because I'm Ben Shapiro and I have double standards for myself. And then I'll call you a racist, Nazi, anti-Semite if you ever tell the truth about me.
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared.
A belief in hell is actually very, very dangerous. And because just think about this. If I thought that my neighbor was torturing children in his basement, right? I would call the cops immediately. And if the cops wouldn't show up, I would kick down his door myself, right? I mean, I would be highly motivated to stop him. Now,
listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared.
Sam Harris wouldn't even care if Hunter Biden had the corpses of children in his basement. But I guess because he's, a Jewish, liberal, atheist friend of Ben Shapiro, that's morally fine to eat dinner with Sam Harris, right? Which is fine with me. I'm not saying he should be condemned for that bad take or like he should be written off from the face of the earth. I mean, I think Sam Harris is an idiot. I think he's mostly a scammer. I think he plays this like pseudo-intellectual atheist thing. Oh, believing in hell's bad because it's like, dude, shut up, dude. But it's fine. Shapiro's allowed to eat dinner with him or talk to him. I have no problem with that. Why not? Be friends with him. If that's your friend, that's your friend. Who am I to tell you who you're going to be friends with? But this is Ben Shapiro's tweet at Trump today. He said, a good way to not accidentally dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you don't know is to not dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you don't know. Oh my God, everything's racist, everything's sexist. Oh my God. The truth is Ben Shapiro is an American scammer, okay? He supports anti-First Amendment. The First Amendment, you have the freedom. You're going to find in this country, just like Kanye and Kyrie found out, they don't want you to have freedom. They want you to have freedom to do their bidding, but the second you question them like you question everything else, the whole world's going to come down on you. Your bank account gets closed, and then if you mention your bank account gets closed, people will start sliding into your DMs calling you names for noticing what they're doing. It's not to say everybody's doing it. I'm just saying the double standards and hypocrisy in this country are obvious, and if you're a true free speech advocate of the First Amendment, it doesn't say, you have the freedom to speak and the freedom to practice religion. You just don't have the freedom to question crime statistics. You don't have the freedom. You have the freedom to get bullied every day based on your ethnicity. But if you notice patterns in other ethnic groups, they'll call you a name. That's not what the First Amendment says. So when Republicans are passing laws that basically say, and DeSantis and Trump passed these laws with these crazy definitions of what anti-Semitism is, you can't say they own the media. You can't say they killed Jesus. You can't criticize Israel. You can't call Israel the Nazis. You can't do this. You can't do that. I mean, it's basically a bunch of safe space snowflake rules that even though people like Dennis Prager will admit that there is massive media control among his ethnic group / religion, you're not allowed to talk about it. You know why? Because you're a sub-tier citizen, just like you were when they rolled out the vaccine mandate. You don't get to go here. You don't get to go here. How does it feel in your own country to not even have the same free speech as a Ben Shapiro? I mean, we back him up when he gets canceled on liberal college campuses, yet he tries to blacklist us or anybody who has dinner with anybody he doesn't like because he considers that anti-Semitism, despite the fact that he himself supports anti-First Amendment laws and wines and dines with the Prime Minister of Israel, yet will call you an anti-Semite if you suggest he has any sort of loyalty to the country that everybody knows he has loyalty to. He is the ultimate snake. He is the ultimate deceiver. And if people ever figure out what Ben Shapiro is doing, he's going to screech and scream and cry just like Lex Fridman did. Lex Fridman was exposed on a world scale because he tried to debate Kanye West, and his logic made no sense. I'm not a hateful person. I'm just operating in the realm of reality. So I'm watching the podcast, and he says, Kanye, don't talk about groups of people. There's no such thing as groups. When you notice that they're Jewish, and it's just call them individuals. So then Kanye starts talking about history and says, well, I'm black and they try to use slavery over my head. And I want to forget about slavery and move on to the present moment. And I think you need to forget about World War II and we need to talk in the present moment. And Lex Fridman goes, I can't, he's like, I can't do that because my group was persecuted. All of a sudden, Mr. Individual, I don't have a group. I'm part of nothing. I'm just a human being is my group, because he's the same as Ben Shapiro. He's a hypocrite. He wants to have a special victim card. He wants an identity that he can use to his advantage. But the second the identity that he's using to his advantage gets called out in any sort of way that's not completely positive, he spirals, runs away from the identity and acts like you're a bad person and a racist if you notice the identity that he constantly uses to shield himself. It's the ultimate scam. Lex Fridman's a scammer. Ben Shapiro's a scammer. They're socially scamming the conservative movement and America. And when you notice they're doing it, they cry hate speech. That's why that's Ben Shapiro's only go-to. He's made a living saying that, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but he's made a living saying facts don't care about your feelings, which basically means, what is hate speech? You hate Ben Shapiro talks about gender. You hate that Ben Shapiro talks about Arabs. You hate that Ben Shapiro talks about Palestine. You hate that Ben Shapiro talks about, abortion. But Ben made his whole career saying facts don't care about your feelings. I believe these are facts, and your feelings, you don't like to hear what I'm saying. So, but it doesn't matter. Facts don't care about your feelings. And we all had Ben Shapiro's back because it's like, listen, I don't care if you don't like Ben Shapiro. He should be allowed to speak on a college campus. There is no such thing as hate speech when you hate to hear his political, social, or racial views. I don't care what he's saying. Debate him and have a conversation. That's literally why Ben Shapiro went from here to here, because he got protested on college campuses by people trying to rip out his tongue and call him a racist. And how does Ben Shapiro thank everybody who has his back? By calling them racist, by calling them anti-Semites, by calling them Nazis, by smearing President Trump for having dinner with somebody, yet Ben Shapiro's allowed to have dinner with Sam Harris. Candace Owens is 20 times as accurate as Ben over the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic. But instead of Ben saying, hey, I learned my lesson because Candace's takes on the pandemic have been way better than mine. Ben Shapiro, if you're listening, Candace Owens' takes on the pandemics were way better than yours. Way better, bro. Leagues ahead of you. She is, okay? Instead of being like, oh, I learned my lesson because I was wrong about all this stuff, instead he has the nerve to say, I wish she said what I said about No one wants to be you, Ben. You were wrong for the last 3 years and she was right. So why the hell do you think you have any sort of intellectual monopoly over what she says and doesn't do? Like you're some sort of 100% accurate. I mean, dude, you were wrong about some of the most important topics of our era for years. And you've admitted that now. Yet you have the nerve to try to supersede what everyone else can do while they've been behind the scenes blacklisting people. Why will you debate Sam Harris but not Louis Farrakhan? Why will you debate Cenk Uygur but not Nick Fuentes? I don't care if you like Nick or Louis. I don't care. It doesn't, but you can't blacklist. Oh, there's no value over there. In my opinion, I don't like Sam Harris. If I were to listen to Sam Harris or Louis Farrakhan, who would I rather listen to? Personally, it would be Farrakhan. It's not because I'm obsessed with him. I'm not Muslim. I'm not black. His rhetoric doesn't always appeal to me. But me as an American citizen feels that there's more value in his speeches than there is in a Sam Harris speech. Sam Harris isn't saying anything I've ever heard or never heard. If we're agreeing, it's stuff that I've heard before and everybody says it. If we're disagreeing, I think Sam Harris, we fundamentally disagree on a lot of important issues. So I find him very disingenuous. At least if Farrakhan says something racist that hurts my feelings because I'm white, I know where he stands at least. He's not sugarcoating it. He's not hiding it. Personally, I find Farrakhan, if I'm going to be honest, way more authentic than Shapiro. Because if Farrakhan hates me because of my ethnicity, I feel like he'd say it to my face. I feel like Ben Shapiro is the ultimate deceiver. I think he has a lot of thoughts about his ethnicity and his religion and other people and Christians. I don't think Ben Shapiro likes Christians. I think he despises Christians, but his audience is Christian. So he has to play this game of like, well, you know, classic anti-Semitism is when they say Jews kill Jesus. You know, and then he'll have on some Zionist right-wing, like, you know, Christian pastor who agrees with him on everything. So I don't think Ben is like so much great. I just think he's faker. So it's like all the thoughts that he has in his head that would be as criticized as Farrakhan's are, Ben keeps them inside his head and never says them, and Farrakhan just says them on stage, which, you know, that begs the differ of like, which it's like the person that's going to metaphorically stab you in the back versus the person who's going to stab you in the front. That's why I like Malcolm X, who we also disagree on a lot of stuff. You know, he used to say that about liberals. He's like, I don't like conservatives or liberals, but liberals are the most deceitful. You know, conservatives, at least, they're a little less deceitful. And it wasn't him co-signing Republicans. It was just him saying, I don't trust liberals because at least the other side will tell me if they don't like me. The liberal will always act like my best friend and then do that. That's who Ben Shapiro is to me in the conservative. I don't think he's like more ethical or moral. I think he's totally disingenuous, wrong about a lot of topics, and I feel like his whole scheme is to funnel Christians and conservatives to just worshiping Israel and never questioning it. And I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to do that, but if I notice that him and Prager are doing that, and I have a question about foreign aid, or I have a question about the First Amendment of the Constitution, not because I hate you or hate your country, but because I notice that there's un-American speech laws being passed through our party, it doesn't make me an anti-Semite noticing that there's unfair rules in this society. And there is. I mean, I know Ben knows this. He's not stupid. If you have, and this is like, if you have a bias against anyone black for wrong reasons or any reasons, that's racist, right? Having bias against black people for any reason is racism. Having bias against any group of Jewish people, whether it's 2, 3, 1, or 1,000, you know, for reasons that make sense or reasons that make no sense, for wicked reasons, you know, that's known as anti-Semitism. If you have bias against white people in this society, that's like heroic and known as status quo. And then if you're white, whether you're left wing or right wing, and you just notice the double standards, not even from a hateful perspective, you're just like, I find it interesting that there's no word for hating my religion. Like if a right wing, you know, Jewish person disagrees with my religion, I don't care. If a left wing, you know, Muslim person disagrees with my religion, I don't care. But I don't have a word that says you're like when Eric Swalwell hates on conservative values in this country. There is no word to say, well, that's or for my race. So I notice this. And if you talk about it, everyone just calls you those names. I mean, I want to read a tweet real quick, and then I'm going to get to the Tim Pool apology. He apologized to me. Eric Swalwell tweeted something very interesting, and I'm really semi-confused at it, but really I think I know why. He tweeted this. This is Eric Swalwell, the insufferable California liberal guy. He said, as a congressman to one of the largest Muslim American constituencies in the country, it's with immense pride that we watched the first Arab-hosted World Cup. The play on the pitch has been phenomenal, but it's been matched by Qatar or Qatar, whatever you say, showcasing of the region's religion and culture. So he's like, you know, the World Cup's been great, but it's even better that their culture and religion is on display, and he loves it. Here's a question for you. It's no secret that Qatar or Qatar or QAnon or whatever you want to call it, and cry about my pronunciation in the comment section, they are way more right-wing and way more conservative than most Christians and Republicans in this country. They have banned pride stuff from the World Cup. They've banned alcohol from the World Cup. They don't support any of the things that liberals support. Yet Eric Swalwell is saying, this is so great. Your culture's so great. Why is Eric and I'm not mad that he's respecting that. I respect their religion and culture because it's their country. And I think it's impressive that they've kept so much degeneracy out of it to a certain extent. With that being said, why is left-wing Eric Swalwell more supportive of Arabs in a foreign country that are more conservative and more right-wing than right-wingers in America, but he hates his own constituents who disagree with him from a less conservative perspective? Why is that? Why is it okay to openly hate Christians in Christian countries, but they respect Muslims in Muslim countries and Muslims in America? What's going on? How come Muslims are allowed to enforce their religion in their countries, But not a single Christian country at this point, except for maybe Russia and a few others, is enforcing their religion to any other certain extent. And if you ever do, they're going to call you a racist and or whatever the word, or too far right. You know, isn't that a little bit odd that that's happening? Everybody sees it, where it's like, yeah, I'm okay with you supporting Qatar or Qatar, but the fact that you don't even like, why is that? Why is it okay for certain people on the right to say that white liberals are running Black Lives Matter, right? You could say that. White liberals are running Black Lives Matter. It's a scam. It's white liberals puppeting them behind the scenes. You could say that as a right winger, and you're a hero. That's so cool. You can get booked. But if I were to say Jewish liberals were puppeting Black Lives Matter, all of a sudden that's anti-Semitism, and I shouldn't talk about the group. Then why do you talk about white? White is a group. I mean, it's a looser group, but how come you're... So even conservatives play into this culture of double standards and hypocrisy. They don't know they're doing it, but it's like, I don't mind if you... Do you hear me cry when someone says white liberals are puppeting, white liberals are puppeting, Black Lives Matter, or white people are puppeting Black Lives Matter? Do I stop on a dime and say, not all white people, I'm not puppeting them, it's not me, oh my gosh, this reminds me of a war? Like, do you see me do that? No, I say, no, I get what you're saying, and I don't take it as offense. I understand that you're just using words in the dictionary to best describe these people that are puppeting Black Lives Matter behind the scenes, or inspiring them, or funding them. But if you were to get more accurate in certain cases and say Jewish, the same right wingers that are so free speech and so woke, they're saying, oh my gosh, why would you label them? Why did you label them white? Why are you so comfortable bashing at white, but I'm not allowed to say the word Jewish? Why is that? Because people like Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager are controlling a lot of real estate in the Republican Party, not just them, but others, and a lot of Christian non-Jewish Zionists who they've determined that this is how our country works. We support the First Amendment, just not for Israel or Jewish people. We'll infringe on the First Amendment for Jewish speech rules and Israel speech rules. And if you ever notice we're doing it, it's anti-Semitism. We will loosely throw around the word white, and nobody's going to say it's anti-white. But if you throw around the word Jewish in a more concerted fashion, we're going to call you an anti-Semite. The rules, as people say. These are the rules that have been written, not just by the left wing, but by the right wing. And you see it on display with Shapiro, which is why I'm making this video. Because it's deeper than what I think about him or what he said to Trump, because Trump is not above scrutiny. But for all the things to criticize Trump of, him having dinner with Kanye, and really Kanye kind of setting Trump up in a way, is not the number one thing, in my opinion, to bash Trump over, because that's cancel culture. I don't care if Trump had a meeting with Obama. If Trump was at dinner with Obama, I don't even care. Why? Because Trump's allowed to talk to Obama. He's a grown man. Obama was president, Trump was president. Who says they're getting along? Who says they're best friends? If they agree with something and say that was pretty funny, but at the same time, let's talk about Iran, they're allowed to do that. I don't think Trump should have to think about who he's having dinner with. I understand the optics are bad in certain cases, but I don't live in that reality where you can talk to Sam Harris, but he can't talk to Kanye. Because you've deemed Kanye as Nazism. Screw you, Ben. Screw you. I'm so glad Kanye's doing this, because Kanye's too big for you to blacklist. Ready, little Ben Shapiro? You're little mentally, physically, spiritually. Everything's little about you, okay? Kanye's way bigger than you, bro. You're not going to be able to blacklist Kanye West the same way you've been blacklisting everybody who's been telling the truth. I know it hurts your feelings, Ben. I know you think you're the gatekeeper. I know you want double standards. I know you're a hypocrite. I know you support speech laws. I know you cry anti-Semitism and racism when you don't get your way. I know you're a fraud. I know your whole identity is a lie. I know your whole brand is a joke. I know. But you're not going to sweep this under the rug, because Kanye's bigger than you, Ben. Sorry, this isn't just Nick or Owen Benjamin that you never name but talk trash about, but you can't even say their name. It's not going away, Ben. Sorry, bro. Sorry. You're going to have to debate somebody eventually. Debate somebody. Make them look bad. I'm not afraid to sit down with someone I disagree. Let me show that I'm smarter than them. Let me show that I'm better than them. I think Ben knows he's not better or smarter than most people, so he just sits around 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old blue-haired liberals for a viral moment and then talks trash about the co-hosts who are smarter than him. Candace is smarter than you, Ben. Candace's insight to the pandemic, her intuition, her instinct was accurate during the pandemic. Yours wasn't, buddy. You already regret shilling. Well, actually, you fake apologized and we're like, oh, we got lied to. He made an 8-minute video saying Big Pharma lied, the government lied, the vaccine industry's lied, everybody. You lied, Ben Shapiro. And while you were lying, I was telling the truth. Candace Owens was telling the truth. People that you call anti-Semites were telling the truth about something that had nothing to do with your group. And you were wrong. And after 2 years of being wrong, the first thing you do is condemn your way smarter co-host than you to say, oh, I wish you would have said what I said. No one wants to say what you say, Ben. Debate somebody. Stop running away, you chicken. Running away crying Nazism. Nazism. The ultimate victim card. The ultimate victim is Ben Shapiro. Facts don't care about his feelings. What a joke. You can't talk to Kanye at dinner because you sat with somebody. Yeah, but you brag about hanging out with this guy. Like it's like you're, oh, look, I get along with the other side, but you're not allowed to.
Listen, I don't care what's in Hunter Biden's life. I mean, Hunter Biden, at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared.
But that's great that you talk to him, right? That's cool, right? You talk to left-wingers, progressives who disagree with 99% of your policy, but you won't talk to Nick Fuente or Kanye West, who probably at least agree with half of what you believe, or not more. What? I don't get it. Oh, I debate left-wingers who hate me and disagree with everything I say, but I won't debate people who agree with half what I say. Why? Are you afraid your audience is going to be exposed to the truth of what you've been covering up for years? Huh? So tired of this guy. I stand up, even Trump. Trump has annoyed me over the past couple of years, but I even stand up for him when someone tries to play cancel culture. And I'm going to get to the Tim Pool thing, and I'm going to end my live stream or get to some comments. When Ben Shapiro is getting canceled on a college campus, I stand up for Ben Shapiro. Not because I agree with everything that comes out of his little weaselly, lawyer mouth. He talks like he's like mumbling or chewing on nuts or something. Not because I agree with everything that he says, but because I think he has a right to speak his mind. Sorry, but I don't care how offensive he even is to Palestine or Arabs. If you're Palestinian or Arab, you can go and debate him without being violent. Debate, conversation, racially, socially, politically. I'm all for it. Everything's not hateful to me. Even if Ben says something I consider pretty hateful, I still want him to be able to speak there because I believe cutting out a man's tongue doesn't prove him wrong. It just proves you're afraid of what he's saying. So I supported Ben Shapiro for years to speak on college campuses. When Donald Trump passed an executive order for his donors that don't exist or you're an anti-Semite, when he passed an executive order that said that criticism and boycott and divestment on college campuses from Israel's anti-Semitism, I stood up for those people. Not because I hate Israel, not because I boycott Israel, and not because I want to bash the people from there. I think most people from Israel are great people. It's not their fault what their government's doing, just like I'm not to blame for what Nancy Pelosi is doing. With that being said, I stood up for them. Not because I hate you, Ben, not because I want to replay history. It's just because that's the principles of free speech. I agree with what Noam Chomsky used to believe, which is even some of the most egregious social speech should be allowed. I mean, Noam Chomsky, left-wing Jewish professor, laid it out perfectly. He used to defend people questioning World War II, not because he agreed with it. He's Jewish and he disagrees with it heavily. But he said, this is America, and at least I don't believe that should be criminalized. Because a lot of people don't know in other countries, speech is criminal. And they brag about that on the State Department website, that they're almost like cheering for it to happen here. Like anti-Semitism is criminality when it's criminal, and it's criminal in certain countries. They're bragging about that on an American government website. Like, look over in other countries, it's illegal. I don't think it should be illegal. In Germany, you go to jail. There's a Jewish woman in jail for questioning World War II in Germany, and she's Jewish. I don't know what she knows because I'm not her. I didn't live the life that she lived. But in a country that I live in, I don't want an old woman to be in prison because of her views on history, whether they're right or wrong. I don't believe in criminalizing speech. To me, that doesn't say you're innocent. It says the opposite. It's like screaming, paranoia. But I understand why, and I get the dynamic behind it, and I'm sympathetic. But at the end of the day, I don't believe in that. So Noam Chomsky used to say that in America. He used to say, I'm not defending the idea. I'm defending their right to say it, because if we lose the right to say that, we're going to lose everything. Noam Chomsky, despite being left-wing and too old now to be as impressive as he once was, he's an American legend for being right about free speech. And he understood that every authoritarian leader, whether left-wing or right-wing, takes away speech. So you can't give up the speech. I defended that. I defended Shapiro. I defended Trump when they tried to cut his tongue out. And now I'm defending, Kanye and Trump again from the same people like Ben who got canceled for his own speech, now trying to cancel them for their speech. And there's like a whole blacklist going on. Why are you more comfortable debating Scam Harris, Gwen Shapiro, Scam Harris? Why are you more comfortable debating him than Kanye West? Kanye West is enormous. You don't have to like him, but then debate him. If he's so wrong, why is Ben Shapiro not wanting that conversation? That's like a 10 million view conversation, 20 million view conversation. You think I wouldn't want to talk to Kanye or Ben? I don't like Ben at all at this point. I think he's a fraud. I'm willing to talk to him. I'm not just running away. And I don't even need to talk to him like I need the attention or something. Let anybody debate him. That's what makes me so mad. He blacklists this person, calls them a Nazi, calls them a racist, calls them an anti-Semite, runs away, cries hate speech, runs away, cries racism, runs away. He's been running for years. That's why he loves debating 19-year-old blue-haired liberals, because they're dumb. I'm not going to say they're dumb, but they're not fully developed. And it's like, I'm 33. If I was 19 debating my 33-year-old self, who would win a political debate? Me now. Duh. So it's not impressive that you it's not impressive that you debate Sam Harris. Sam Harris can't even debate himself. He just deactivated his Twitter account because he doesn't even make sense to himself, let alone you. His pseudo-intellectualism hit such a snag that he had to delete his Twitter account. He's probably depressed because he's living a lie. His ego's so big. He hates Donald Trump so much, he doesn't care about kids in a basement or whatever he said. It's like, the dude's a mess. Yeah, of course you could beat him in a debate. He beats himself in a debate every day and then probably whatever. But you won't debate Kanye West? It's because Ben's afraid. Look at what Kanye did to Lex Fridman. That's a great debate. Most people like Lex and Ben, they've never met someone not afraid of their victim card. That's why they're so afraid of Kanye. He's not afraid of the victim card that they use to quash criticism and speech. So if you look at the Kanye-Lex interview, Lex looks like a little boy who got told no. Like, how dare you? How dare you? And it's like, listen, dude, we're both men here. You know what I'm saying? We're having a conversation. Don't try to censor me and call me name. Like, it's not going to work. So it's important, more important than people realize. I'm not doing this to be petty. It's been going behind the scenes for years. And honestly, if you really want to know, in my opinion, the Trump administration and the biggest influence behind the Republican Party, I don't know what to say without seeming like I'm saying something, because I'm not blaming all people. But for lack of a better term, the people really pulling the strings in the Republican Party are the same ones that they're passing speech laws to say that they're not doing it, because people with no money and power don't get speech laws passed in their name. You don't have like poor white gypsies getting speech laws. You can't say that gypsies steal. You can't say that gypsies gypped you. You can't say that gypsies own banks. Why aren't there gypsy speech laws? Because gypsies don't have money and power. They don't lobby politicians to pass speech laws. Why are there speech laws? There's only speech laws to say that one group doesn't own banks and media. And then Dennis Prager's like, I mean, kind of, but I mean, it's still racist. It's like, yeah, it's not hateful. It's just obvious. Let's get to the Tim Pool apology. So I'll give a little bit of background on this after this, but I'll play the clip first and then we'll get into it. I can't see any comments, by the way, so hopefully they're nice.
I think it's funny. I'll give a shout out to Anomaly, because he's been saying some stuff about us for a while. I don't know Anomaly. The only thing I really knew, I think didn't he do like a song where he mentioned me in it? He got invited on the show. I didn't handle the booking. I don't know what happened with the booking. I didn't know there was an issue with the booking until like the last minute when some tweets came out or something. And then I'm like, guys, I have no idea what's going on. So I apologize. I don't know what happened. And if, employees here were acting inappropriately, there's only so much I can do and can know about. And, I don't want to call it an excuse or not an excuse, but it's like, it's reality, man. I don't handle the booking for the show. I literally don't. I think it's funny. I'll give a shout out to Anomaly because.
All right, hold on 1 second. Sorry. I don't know what happened there. I apologize. Hopefully I wasn't like silent for too long. So, he's apologizing because he said he didn't handle the booking on his show. I accept his apology. I'm going to play a little bit more. I have the whole thing here and then I'll respond to it.
There's a few guests I might DM and be like, hey, would you want to come back on? And like Dr. Drew followed me and I hit him up with like, hey man, like it would be super cool to have you on talking about this stuff. 99% of the guests, the day of, I find out they're booked. I don't handle the travel. I don't handle any of that stuff. And I don't know about communications between these individuals or like what happens. And sometimes guests fall through and I'm just like, I don't know. So apologies, Anomaly. I have no idea what happened, but I'd love to have you on at some point. I think people, I don't know. It would be really cool if we did like, here's a reason why I really wanted to do this segment, this live thing. It's like to explain that.
The next part's pretty funny, but I accept the apology. I appreciate it. The whole reason he made the apology is because he had a co-host that started the Timcast podcast or whatever, Adam Crigler, and Adam said he got fired. Tim said he left. I don't know the story. I don't work there. And Adam did like a expose on why he left or why he got fired, and it got a lot of views. And I'm not going to say Tim was doing damage control, but he was trying to tell his side of the story. And that's why Tim Pool apologized. So, he, in my opinion, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I accept the apology. Thank you. I don't think he ever would have apologized or acknowledged what happened, which I'll talk about in a second. I don't think he ever would have acknowledged it or apologized if Adam didn't make him look bad and he had to kind of like save face. So I do appreciate the apology, but I think that's why he did it. I think he would have been totally fine with ignoring it for a while, but maybe he talked about it and I didn't see it. I don't know. Here's another clip.
I know a lot of people, the people who like the show don't need to justify. The people who don't like the show are going to hate it anyway. But I firmly believe that it's beneficial to mankind for people to understand how things are behind the scenes and how people feel and how things work.
It's beneficial for mankind for people to see how things work behind the scenes. Keep in mind, the only reason he made this video, he said he made it because he was bored on Thanksgiving. It's just not true. I mean, I'm not trying to be a dick and ruin my chance at getting back on the podcast, but I mean, I don't really care, I guess, that much. But I'm like, I accept the apology, but this idea that he's doing this live stream to benefit mankind, bro, you're doing the live stream because Adam said a bunch of personal stuff about you, Lydia, everybody at the cast, and it got hundreds of thousands of views, and now you rightfully want to tell your side of the story, right? That's why he made that whole stream. That was at the end of a stream where he did a 2-hour stream explaining his life, his career, his path, and his perspective on the story that Adam outed him on. Nothing wrong with that. He's entitled to his opinion. I think it was righteous that he responded, but let's not act like this is like, you're doing this for the benefit of mankind. I mean, come on, bro. I mean, we all know.
So like addressing the Anomaly thing to like just get all the drama out there. Like he was tweeting about it and I'm just like, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like I know something happened, but I don't know. Like he was trying to get booked and then didn't work out. My understanding, like what I knew was that he was trying to fly in like on the day of, and then the flight got canceled or delayed or something, and he wasn't going to make it. So I was told, hey, the guest's not going to make it. Their flight was delayed. And I was pissed. I was like, what? Like, why aren't they flying the day before or first thing? And it was like, well, it was a mistake. And I'm like, okay, well, that's dumb. What are we doing? It's like, we'll have someone fill in. And I was like, okay, I guess. I don't know. Anomaly would have been a way better guest. But, and then there are other people who just like, I don't even know why they hate me. Like, just like spreading gossip and rumors. But that.
All right, so I'm going to address what happened. But first of all, I want to say I accept the apology. I'm not petty. I don't hold grudges. But what they did to me was wrong. I'll explain it later. It didn't sit right with me. And I absolutely was bringing it up a lot because the fact that they were going to just try to act like that never happened and lie about it was not going to fly with me. So I do accept the apology. I didn't need like a huge thing. Oh my God. But that was good enough, you know? With that note, I mean, if you watch the full apology, he said, I don't know who Anomaly is, basically. Like, isn't he that guy? Isn't he that guy who rapped about me in a song? I don't really know who he is. And then at the end of the thing, he said, you know, Anomaly would have been a better guest. How do you know I would have been a better guest if you don't even know who I am? Like, I don't understand why you would have thought I was a better guest if you didn't even know who I was and wasn't even aware of what I do. Which is, I don't care if he knows who I am or not, but it's like, I don't understand why you would have thought I was going to be a better guest when you don't even allegedly know who I am. That's fine. You know, what happened was, outside of his apology, I appreciate it. And I think it's true. He wasn't handling the booking, that he's not lying. So he had never reached out. And here's the thing, as much as he says he did that for the benefit of mankind or whatever, there's almost a 0% chance he was going to apologize if Adam didn't out him. It's like Adam had a whole expose. He was defending himself. And while he was talking about it, he got it. And he didn't have to do that publicly. He could have messaged me. I messaged him on Instagram and he didn't answer back. And it shouldn't matter how many followers you have. You know, I don't think that's important, whether you have 1 follower or 1 million followers. I think you should treat people like people, you know, something that maybe needs to happen. But I messaged him on Instagram. And as much as he doesn't know who I am, I have more followers than him on Instagram. I have more followers than him on Facebook. He's got more than me on Twitter and YouTube. And it's not a competition, but I'm just saying in general, when you message somebody with like 600,000 followers like I have on Instagram, it goes to the top of your priority section. So I highly doubt he didn't see it because it would be at the top of his inbox. And, you know, I'm guessing he checks to see what high profile people are reaching out. Long story short, I don't care. I'm just saying it's like, I wasn't asking for a public apology. I wanted him to acknowledge what happened. So here's what happened. I never spoke to Tim. He never called me. He never texted me. He never reached out. He didn't make the booking and he never apologized or made it right. It was almost like it just never happened. All right. Doesn't matter. Whatever. So what happened was I got booked for a show. I'm going to tell this without being boring because I've told it before. I got booked for a show and, you know, it was a staff member who's not there anymore who booked the flight. And it was what it was. Like, I don't know where Tim's studio is. He's kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I can't really book my own stuff because I don't even know where I'm going. And they don't even tell you for security reasons where you're going. So I'm flying to an airport and I'm not even quite sure which state I'm going to. Like, people think I was exaggerating or making stuff up. Like, oh, you know where Tim's staying at. I'm like, dude, I don't. And I'm not mad at it. I get it. Tim is a very high profile person. Like, a lot of people don't like him. I totally support his security. But I don't know when his show starts. I don't know anything about it. I don't know his time schedule. I don't know where it is. I have no idea how to get there. And this is all being controlled by them because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to get there. With that being said, they picked the flight and they picked a like late afternoon flight. It got delayed by, I think, like 2 hours maybe. And I landed around 7:00 p.m. and the show was at 8 p.m. And they said it was about an hour away. And as I'm in the delay, I'm texting Tim's staff member who's running it all. And the problem wasn't that it wasn't going to work out. If they had like a little bit of respect and like some decency, I wouldn't have even cared if it didn't work out. They could have just been like, hey, my bad, we'll make it happen again. And maybe this was lost through translation, but I don't really think so. Their tone was very condescending. It was basically like they were telling me, whatever, like, treat it like a layover, you know, just waste your time in the middle of nowhere. And like, you know, you can't come on in the next day or the next couple of days we're booked. And like, maybe it's just not meant to be. Like, instead of them being like, yo, my bad, we picked a bad flight. We shouldn't have cut it that close. It's our bad and we'll make it right. It was basically like they were throwing me out like the trash. Like, go, just, you know, this was the vibe. Just get out of our hair. Like, we don't want you tomorrow. We don't want you the next day. We don't want you the next day. Like, just go. Just get away. Like, and it wasn't like, oh, we're definitely going to have you back. It was like she was treating me, the staff member, like I was a piece of shit. Basically, like, and even listening to Tim talk, I don't care because when it comes to followers, I don't treat people like this. I don't treat my neighbors like this. I don't treat my friends who don't have, it's not important as a human how many followers you have. Like, it's not the value of where you treat people. But it felt like the whole time they were treating me like someone they didn't give a shit about, because they clearly don't give a shit about me. Like, Tim pretends like he doesn't even know who I am, or he doesn't know who I am. That's fine. She apparently doesn't care. Like, if you don't like me enough to even know, just don't even book me then. Don't even waste my time. It's not a big deal. But it seemed like they were so, it was so easy for them to just throw me out like the trash, because they felt like I was just a nobody, and I didn't even deserve basic humanity. So I feel like if I was James O'Keefe or Jack Posobiec or Marjorie Taylor Greene or pretty much anybody that they're friends with or they respect, there's a 0% chance they're treating me like that. Because everything about it was weird. I'm on the plane and I'm like, hey, I'm going to land at around 7. And they're like, it wasn't like a direct no. It was like, let me check with the producer. Let me see if we can let you in the studio. He said no. Would he have said no if it was other? I'm like, okay, so now I can't go to my own podcast. And the reason I was so annoyed is because I didn't book the late flight. And then the next day she tells me that she usually books people a day before. Or she's like, oh, the new guests got there a day before. Why did you book them a day before, but you booked me at like 2 or 3 p.m.? Like, even if I didn't get a delay, we would have been cutting it crazy close. And if Tim has like very tough deadlines on when he locks the door, then we should have at least done it a few hours, because they're basically acting like they'd never had a delay before, yet most of their guests they book for more time. So it just felt, and like on top of that, they're both acting like I'm a piece of shit. So I'm like, clearly they don't like me. Like, Tim doesn't even know who I am. She doesn't seem to like me very much. She booked me a crappy flight at a crappy time, and now it's just acting like, oh, I guess it's not meant to be. It's like me flying you out to my podcast, me booking a shitty flight. It gets delayed by 1 to 2 hours, and I just throw you out of the trash. Be like, I guess it's not meant to be. It's like, it's not meant to be because you booked a shitty flight. It's not like the universe, you booked the flight. You kind of sabotaged me, but whatever. So I land, and then, basically just the way it was handled the entire time was just, in my opinion, just like super crappy and condescending and shitty. And like, I don't even want to get into the rest of it, because they said they'd pay for a hotel. I ended up getting stuck there for a few days. I sent the hotel thing, and then they said they weren't going to pay for it. And I don't need the money, but I'm like, you guys are such scum. You lock me out of my podcast. You sabotage me. You treat me like shit. You try to throw me out like the trash. And then you won't even cover the bill that I booked because I wasn't going to your hotel an hour away. And then I said, you don't have to pay for all 3 days because I got stuck there because of rain delays and stuff. I was like, you could just pay for the one night that you said you'd pay for, and they wouldn't even pay for that. So it's like they were just such, on every level of business, scummy. And it wasn't Tim, it was his staff member. And I was like, damn, I've dealt with hundreds of people, done business. This is like the shittiest business I've ever dealt with. And like the way they're treating me, even the way Tim talks about me, like, oh, I don't know. I don't care if you don't know who I am, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, it felt like they were just like, go away. You're nobody. Like, just get out of our hair. Okay. But anyway, he never addressed it, and I messaged him privately. I messaged him and didn't say anything that mean. I just told him the truth about what happened and why I was upset, and he never messaged me back. So for months, people asked me what I think of him, and I've said pretty nasty things, because I'm like, dude, that, like, the way he treated me was super low. So long story short, I'm letting it go. This is the end of it, because I'm accepting the apology. Adam Crigler used to work for Tim, so he did this whole expose on, what happened at the house and why he left. And there was so much backlash, Tim made a video. All I'm personally saying is, one, I appreciate the apology. I accept the apology. Two, personally, I'm not buying the narrative that Tim made that video because it's Thanksgiving. He didn't make I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but the video was made because of the Adam video. It was a direct response to Adam outing them or having an opinion about them, which is fine. But just don't pretend like you made the video because it's Thanksgiving. You made it because of Adam. And don't pretend like you're apologizing to me because it's good for humanity. You're apologizing to me because you're, covering your bases with Adam, and you have some extra time to right some other wrongs that you didn't right. So I accept the apology, but it's like, let's cut through the bullshit. And, that's what it is. So we'll see. They have a different booking person now. They're inviting me back, and I'm considering it because it's a different person, but I'm probably going to book my own stuff as far as hotels and stay there, and get there early, etc. So we'll see. Because at the end of the day, I want to have a chat. I'm not afraid to chat with anybody. The only thing I don't want is to be stranded in the middle of nowhere with people talking to me like I'm a piece of garbage. That's not going to cut it. So we'll see. It's an interesting thing that happened with Tim and Adam, though. I'm not going to really weigh in on it because it's not my business, but the whole thing was just interesting. And, I guess he quit the show. And then he still lived at the house. So it's like, I don't know. Just as an outside viewer, and then I'm going to move to comments about other stuff. One of the parts that's interesting, without saying too much, is someone said Cassandra's awesome. Yeah, I love Cassandra Fairbanks. Not like that, but you get what I'm saying. For years, I mean, me and Cassandra go way back in the sense of like me and Cassandra Fairbanks, so I think handling Tim's stuff now, we almost had the same arc of like, we thought Bernie might be the real deal, and then we kind of grew up. Like, in a weird way, we had the same exact political arc. So I've always liked Cassandra. She's always been cool with me. She's always been super respectful. So, since she's handling the biz now, I think it'll probably work out. So we'll see. But the interesting part I'm just going to say because I watched Adam had like a 6-hour live stream about Tim. Tim had one. I watched it. I got into the drama. But in general, I just thought it was kind of interesting how like the whole conflict, this is just me from an outside perspective. I've never been there. The whole conflict was like Adam and Lydia, basically were arguing, and Adam had an ultimatum and he left, but he only left the show and then he stayed at the house. So this is just my question. It's like, how was leaving the show a solution when they're beefing, living in the same house, and then they're still living in the same house? The whole like business structure of like, and it's fun. I get it. It's like, I'm not like a holier than thou. You got to run it. Hey, if you want to have a house where you work and you grind, I mean, that's like the dream, right? You're making news, you're all living together. I have no problem with it, but I just don't understand what they were thinking where it's like, these two people are having problems, so he's going to be done doing that, but we're still going to live together. Like that doesn't seem to be solving the problem from an outside perspective, but it is what it is. I accept the apology. And I think there's a possibility that we'll have an actual inhuman chat. Someone say he's talking to Adam right now, or talking about Adam. Oh, I don't know if you're talking about me or whatever, but yeah, it's all good. I don't really hold grudges. It's just like when someone pulls one over on me like they did that, you at least got to address it. And I guess I'll end on this note and then I'll read some comments. Feel free to talk about the original story, Ben Shapiro, the Trump thing, because I want to read some of your comments. But I understand that he doesn't handle the booking, right? He said, I don't even know who's booked. I don't handle it. I think there was a problem. I don't really know. I saw the tweets. Like, at the end of the day, and this goes for everyone, I'm compassionate because I know how hard it is to run a business. It's not easy. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your employees. So like if something bad happens between your employee and a guest, but you don't even bring it up or reach out to the guest, like that's not good business. So, like I know people that run businesses with hundreds of people and they have more time to handle that stuff. And they make sure that if something goes wrong, that they handle it, so I think in general, everybody makes mistakes. There's no perfect way to do life. And in order to do business as high level as Tim does, you have to make other sacrifices. But, I think from the outside perspective, I think treating people better should be a priority in your business, or else things are going to, collapse more often than not. If you're hiring, chicks, people are dating each other in the house, your girlfriend runs this, like that, all that sort of stuff is going to like bubble up eventually. And I don't mean that by any disrespect, but it's like, treating people right and not treating guests like shit needs to be a part of your business model. And if it's not, you should consider it, because just saying, I don't know what my company's doing is not, going to make a lot of people feel good about it, because it's your name on the business. So if people are mistreating people or messing stuff up, you should think about maybe having, reaching out and making it part of your work schedule to some extent, but it's whatever. Why am I so heated? I'm literally not. I'm not at all. I'm grateful that there was an actual apology, so it's fine. That's all I wanted. Let's see. People are going to speculate on why and what, but I'm not really overthinking it from this point. That's what it was. Subscribed and liked. You're great, says Catherine Oz. Thank you so much. Someone said total crap. Sorry you went through that. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, just could have been handled better. And this was all I needed. I just wanted the acknowledgement that they screwed up and just didn't treat me right, but it's all good. Let's see. Thank you, Turpa. I appreciate it. Someone said not heated, high energy. High energy. No, I appreciate it. I'm doing what I can. Thank you, Jay Thomas. Someone said, I'd rather see you go on Crigler's after seeing Tim's fake apology. I mean, a lot of people thought it was a very disingenuous fake apology, but, I'll take it. It is what it is. I'm going to talk to Adam at a certain point too. Not about all that, but I do want to go on Adam's show. At the end of the day, when stuff like this goes down, it's unfortunate, but you could kind of see like who's who. You know what I'm saying? Because, Adam said a lot, but then Tim had 2 hours to really respond. And I see it from both sides. Personally, I don't know if I should weigh in on this, but I guess it's a public story now. I think that Tim is really good at business. I think he's a real workhorse. I think he deserves everything he's gotten. And I think he, in order to take it to the level that Tim has taken business-wise, sometimes you have to be a little wild or a little loose or maybe a little mean. So I'm not gonna just sit here and say everything he's ever done is bad. I know what it takes to build, and I think Tim is a workhorse. So I think in order to get what Tim has built, he has had to be a little bit ruthless. But that being said, when he was, I think at some points he sounded very humane, and you could feel his pain, and I agree with a lot of things he said. But at some points, it felt like he wasn't. Where I think sometimes. And I'm someone who works a lot too. And, I need to watch my own relationships, etc. But sometimes when you're so busy with business and stuff, there's different ways to run a business. Like, for example, I've gone to the First Form studio. I talk about it a lot. Andy Frisella runs a podcast as well. He runs a huge podcast, a bigger business than Tim Pool runs. He's got hundreds of employees. He's got a bigger brand, makes more money. I'm not comparing. I'm just saying, like, Andy Frisella's First Form operation, which I also went to after Tim's misfortune thing, his business is way bigger, way more money, way more people, and his podcast is like almost the same as Tim's. It's a big podcast. Andy, in his business, is baking in, we care about people. We care about our guests. Like Andy doesn't have guests on. He's a CEO who has more money than Tim. He doesn't say, I don't know the guests. I don't know who you are, but I want you to come on. Like, Andy handpicks his guests, I'm pretty sure. And if he doesn't know or like somebody, he doesn't have them on the show. But at the same time, his business and all his employees are operating under this foundation of, we treat people well, high energy, and like the better you treat your customers, the better results you get. I like companies like that. I think with Tim, it's not to criticize too much because he's done a lot of great stuff, but if that's not in you, it's not going to be in your employees. So if you're not going to reach out to me unless you get outed, but your employees are talking to me all weird and doing stuff unprofessional and booking crappy flights and then just not making it and you're treating me like I'm a piece of garbage. Like Andy Frisella, his name is at First Form. When I went to Andy's podcast, he's super nice. They bought me gifts. I'm not saying you need to buy me gifts. It's not like, buy me. But like when I went to First Form podcast, it was like, there's hundreds of employees. He makes more money than Tim. And they're like, oh my God, Anomaly, we love you. We appreciate you. Andy Frisella knows presidents and stuff. And he's like, dude, he values me and he appreciates me. And he's like, I had you here for a reason. Tim, his whole staff acts like I'm a piece of shit. It's time to rethink the business model, maybe, if that's the way your company operates, in my opinion. I'm not salty at all. I'm just saying, no offense, but, you don't want to run a company where everybody feels uncomfortable and it's not hospitable. It's got to be a thought in the business. It's like, let's, it all trickles down from the boss. If those are your morals, your workers will follow it. If they're not, then, it's going to be sloppy, but whatever. I know it's tough though. I don't want to be overly critical because it's tough. It's tough to run a business. It's tough to make it right. You make mistakes. There's no problem in it, but it's all good. Someone said new Ye tweets on Shapiro. Oh, I hope so. Come on. Is there really new Kanye tweets? Oh, he did. Let's go. Oh, yes, Kanye's tweeting about Shapiro. He said Ron DeSantis paid over $100K to Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. He posted an article. And then Kanye said, Shapiro starvingly accepts $100,000 from any one of my opponents, then tries to trash me. Let's go, Kanye. I've been waiting for him to talk trash to Ben Shapiro. Yes, Kanye, let's go. All right. Someone said it's a disservice not to expose real stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm not into drama and gossip, but like you're not gonna treat me like a piece of trash and like leave me stranded in the middle of nowhere, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, that was cool. No, it definitely wasn't. But someone said you're on that soy. Not really, no. I'm not. If you could feel my energy right now, I'm not mad. It's not. It is what it is. I'm just addressing it. Someone said he hasn't done shit. Quit brown nosing him. You don't have to watch my show. There's a reason he apologized to me. He didn't apologize to me because he didn't do something wrong. He apologized to me because he knows his team screwed me over and treated me like shit. But it's all good. Kelly said you're a drama queen. You could think that, but I don't know. It is what it is. That's your belief. Maybe you're the type to just get treated like garbage and disrespected and you just be like, that's cool, but you'd probably want to say something too. Someone said you're disappointed. I'm not even disappointed anymore. I'm addressing it. It's been solved. It's been solved for two reasons. Here's what people don't understand. The reason this problem's getting solved is because I'm not passive aggressive about it. I spoke the truth about what happened. He tried to ignore it for months. Adam said what he felt was the truth about what happened. Tim now speaks to Adam and spoke to me. The only reason I even got an apology, which was the right thing to do, was because I said what happened. If I don't say what happened, it's not dramatic. It's just I'm speaking the truth about what happened. He now apologized because he pretty much had to. You know, that's how being an adult works. If you sit there and don't say anything, then nothing happens. Yeah, it's all good now. Someone said, I think you're handling it fine. Everybody has their own opinion on it. Some people think it was this. Some people think it was that. Andrew said he used to love Anomaly's content, but he's fallen off. I don't know. I think my content's better than ever recently, but there's different methods to it because as social media changes, I do Instagram Reels, TikToks. Now I do a live stream and have more of a show. You know, to each their own. Some people like certain aspects of it, but I'm enjoying it. Someone said Tim's guests always say he's rude in person. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, you know, I'm not going to, if I ever go there, I'll find out for myself. But I think, you know, it's worth considering how you treat your guests. That's all I'm going to say. It's all good, though. It's all gravy. Do I ever discuss hip hop or just politics? Well, I do hip hop. I rap about it. Sometimes I discuss it, but I'm more discussing politics. Someone said, I hope you do Tim's podcast again. I might. I very well might. It very well might happen. Somebody call Rogan. I would love to talk to Rogan, but you know, in due time. I gotta actually go soon. Wait, let me see what time it is. I'm talking to Eddie Bravo today. If you guys know Eddie Bravo, he's always on Rogan's podcast. He invited me on his new podcast. So that should be a fun conversation because Eddie Bravo gives no Fs. You know, he's definitely not censoring himself on anything. So it'll be pretty fun, in my opinion, talking to that guy. I almost forgot about that. Thank you guys for mentioning. That would have been stupid. Someone said Anomaly's mad he didn't sell more beanies. Literally no, but you could think that. Someone said, why is there so much hate on this stream? Go watch What Makes You Happy. Y'all are sad. It doesn't bother me. If you get enough people, everybody's got a voice. So I don't know. Sometimes the funny thing is sometimes people try to blame me for comments in the comment section. They'll be like, did you see how hateful those? I'm like, sometimes the comments are saying stuff about me too. It's not like it's my fault what everyone says. I don't take things that people say about me that personally. I don't take things that people say about other people. I'm not policing my chat. Some people are like, you suck. It's like, sometimes I try to just play off it. Bravo's the man. I'm excited to talk to Eddie Bravo. It should be a very fun combo. I don't know what to expect, but I'm pretty sure he likes me. He does a lot of podcasts with Jim Brewer, and I know Jim Brewer really likes me. So I'm pretty sure Eddie's coming from like a genuine angle. You know, sometimes people have me on and they're trying to have like a gotcha moment. Like, you know, Hotep Jesus did that to me. He tried to do like a gotcha, like, you know, and then I embarrassed him or whatever. He could pretend like I didn't. And then like, you know, the Styx debate was like him being condescending and rude. And then I said something and then everyone like what people, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Because when you watch a live stream, whether it's a debate I had or whatever, everybody has their own perception and perspective. And I think everybody's perception is based off of how they are and what they like and dislike. Everybody likes different music. Everybody likes different speakers, you know, for different reasons. Some people like comedy. Some people like the raw truth. But what a lot of people don't realize is like, and, you know, this is a part that I think is lacking with certain people. At the end of the day, right? Of course, there's politics. There's news analysis. I'm a real person. So if I meet you at a coffee shop or whatever, we can be real people. It's not a political grandstand. So when I talk to people in a podcast, if you've ever seen me interact with people on my own live stream, I'm a pretty nice host. I let people speak. I try to be thoughtful. And if you don't start anything with me, I'm not going to start anything with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, whether I agree or disagree. And I'm trying to start with some good energy and some synergy, and we could debate. But some people live in a political world where they talk crazy to people. And I'm not saying I can't handle it, but like what people don't realize, and I don't really care, but when I debated Styx hexenhammer, you know, I came into it just trying to have a good time and be like, yo, this will be a fun spirited debate. And the first thing he did was throw shade at me and say, oh, you got crushed on, like just trying to shit on. But he's such a like scrawny beta male, like wimp, that he does it in a passive aggressive way. Like I'm a real man. So when somebody like throws a jab and runs away, I see it, but a lot of people don't see it. And they're like, oh, you started it. I'm like, he started it, but he did it in a passive aggressive, like beta soy boy way. And then I respond to it. And then people act like my response is crazy, but I don't just come out talking trash to somebody or making fun of them. It's like a lot of these people do these like passive aggressive little games. And I don't play that as a man. It's like, I'll still have a debate. I'm not going to get like upset. But if you throw like 5 passive aggressive jabs at me and I throw one straightforward jab at you, people like to be like, oh, he started it. No, I ended it. I responded. But you didn't see the little passive aggressive one because it was very snarky and beta. Carlton Anomaly Jones. I don't even know. What does that mean? Carlton Jones? Is that like a reference to something? Sorry. Someone said Anomaly salty. Bro, you've been saying I'm salty for 20 minutes. If you could feel my energy, it's like, I'm not salty. I'm not angry. But you could keep pretending like I am. Someone said Styx could be a douche. Yeah, no, for sure. He loves to poke at people, and then he gets poked back, and he's like, man, how many? Like, it's very scrawny beta, like people who sit in front of the camera all day and aren't into like actual human interaction. I get it, but it's like someone said it's the internet. I'm not complaining. I'm just walking through my head. It's like same with the Hotep Jesus debate. When I had a debate with him, I liked him at the time, and I still don't dislike him, but he's not my favorite. You know, I had no problems with him, but he brought me on as like a guy. I'm going to try to make you look dumb. He had clips loaded of me. No problem. I like to step into the lion's den. But for an hour, he's talking to me like I'm an idiot. He's talking to me condescending. He's talking down to me. He's saying I'm sniffing Trump's ass. Like he's saying all this stuff. And then I respond, not aggressively, but like assertively. And he's like, I don't understand why you can't think this way. I'm like, I don't understand. It's because you're not me and you'll never be me. You know, like I just laid it down like a man. I'm like, you can't fathom how I'm thinking because you're not me and you can't be. You know, and then everyone's like, oh, he started it. It's an hour into like 50 passive aggressive jabs where I'm having a debate, just blowing him out of the water. He shifts, I blow him out of the water there. He's talking down to me. Then I say one thing and then people try to act like I started it. It's the same thing with Styx. If you watch it back, the first jab was him literally referencing that debate. And then after the debate, he had a conversation with someone that like it was like a big team up. They were trying to have like a gotcha moment with me. I don't care. it doesn't bother me. I'm just saying, like, people are acting like I start things. If you watch any live stream I ever do with certain stuff, I'm not the one just like poking and being a dick. People will be a dick to me and say something like beta and passive aggressive and snarky. And then I respond, and all like the gammas and betas are like, oh my gosh, he started it. It's like, watch it back, you know? Someone said he was rude and talking. Yeah, I don't mind the rudeness. All I'm saying is, like, if you're going to be rude to me for 30 minutes when we're doing a conversation, and then I alpha up and say something raw, just don't pretend like I started it. You know, that's all I'm asking. But everybody sees the world in a different way. We could watch a debate and we could see two different things. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very aware of like perception and perspective, and you can only really meet somebody as deeply as you've met yourself, you know, and some people like comedy, some people like snark, you know, there's different pros and cons to everything. I understand. So I'm not overly like, I get why people feel a certain way, but that's the truth. Battle Elf said, just got out of the shower. Thank you for sharing that. Just kidding. That some things you can keep to yourself in the YouTube chat. Ricky said, shut up. Are you the same guy that was here telling me to shut up last time? It's fine. Someone said, no beer at a soccer game. F that. I mean, if you can't watch soccer for a few weeks without beer, you know, that's like, you just drink some coconut water or something for one day, and then you can drink beer tomorrow. Someone said, we get it. It's all the testosterone. It's not even, I mean, yeah, I have it, but it's not that. It's just, I'm not like a pushover. I don't know, you know, everybody has their own thing, but it's like, you know, we start on an even playing field. We have a conversation. If you want to poke, I could poke back too. It's like a basketball game. I'm not playing someone one-on-one. It's like, if they want to play, I'll play. It's not a big deal. Someone said Anomaly trashed the troll. I don't consider these people trolls. I consider them friends that don't like me. Someone said, my whole life I've been treated the same way, but then I realized I see through the passive aggressiveness and I'm always up front. They get triggered by the truth. I'm a very blunt person. I don't know. I'd rather just say what, you know, even in my personal life, like, it bothers a lot of people. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but usually for me, like, I could seem a little mean in business sometimes because I'm not trying to think things. Like, I've worked with people before temporarily where they're thinking all these things, but they don't say it to the other person. I'm like, we got to say this to each other. You can't just talk about someone behind their back, but you got to say it if you're going to do business with them. So, you know, I like to be super upfront. And, you know, I tried to do business recently and, you know, it's all good. It just wasn't meant to be. But it was like, I was being a little maybe too much assertive, and I was getting responded with the opposite, just like zero communication, you know? And it's like, I'd rather you say, I don't like what you just said. That is better than holding on to it and then getting pissed at me and not saying, you get what I'm saying? So I work better with people that are just kind of straightforward. And in a debate, you kind of, you know, there's different types of debaters, people that are really nice, people that are really agreeable, people that are condescending and very snarky, but they do it in such a sneaky way. Some people don't pick up on it. I'm perceptive to all of it. So, you know, I'd much rather somebody just tell me what it is than like hold it inside. And I'd even rather somebody say something, you know, honest to me than like passive aggressively jab me and then like throw up their hands like they're a victim. Like, I see it all. So it's not, you know, you want a beanie? Weren't you the guy that's been talking trash the whole time, Freddie? You can get a beanie, bro. If what you wanted was a beanie, Freddie, you just go to dreamrare.com. There's no more sales, though. Someone said Raiders are whack. I'm going to watch Anomaly from Vegas. What's the score? I'm so excited that Kanye is beefing with Shapiro now. I'm sorry that some people are like, yo, get back to the news. What are we talking about? China locking down their people like psychopaths? I think if Democrats controlled every lever of power, like if they controlled the Senate, the House, every governorship, everything, I think we'd be like China, personally. Someone said blank does seem like the right-wing version of the super pseudo-intellectual super lefty guy. I mean, there were some, in the debate with me and Styx, there were some jabs thrown at each other. He started it. I threw some jabs. Everybody acted like I started it. But outside of the jabs that he threw at me and I threw at him, and outside of, if my rhetoric bothered people, if you listen to the premise of the debate between me and Styx 2 years ago, I was saying that Trump is not responsible for everything. It's not all his fault. But to act like all this inflation, this was before the war in Russia, by the way, there was already inflation. I said to act like all this inflation was just Joe Biden is not true. Joe Biden, I said this in the live stream. I said, and I've been saying this, and I still say it because it's still the truth. I said Joe Biden is responsible for a lot. He's the president. He prints too much money. He's a dummy. He closes down supply chains and oil. He's responsible for part of it. But also, I said Republicans in 2020 printed like $6 to $9 trillion. And because they printed so much money, there was always going to be some sort of a recession or some sort of an inflation because they printed too much money in 2020. I don't care what people think. I don't care how much people tell me I lost. I won that debate because I'm right about that concept. The funny part is I know people that are mutual friends with me and Styx. They all message me and tell me, Anomaly, you won. Anomaly, you were right. I got high profile people that like Styx too that'll message me behind closed doors and say, Anomaly, I didn't think you were right at the time, but now I realize you were right. They just don't want to say it to him because they don't want to lose, favor with both of us. But I'm not saying you have to hate him or anything. It's just, I was obviously right about that debate. Outside of the ad hominems and his jabs and my jabs and emotions or whatever, the premise, it's not hard to win a debate when one guy says printing $6 trillion doesn't lead to inflation. He's wrong. He was wrong then. He's wrong now. All of this has, the war in Russia doesn't help. Energy in Germany doesn't help. All the stupid crap they did. What America did doesn't help. What Biden did doesn't help. And what Trump did in 2020 doesn't help. But if Trump won office and Biden wasn't there was still going to be incoming inflation because of all the damage they did during the lockdowns. Even if you say, well, we had to do that, that wasn't what the debate was on. The debate was on, do you think inflation has any part to do with the 2020 lockdowns, which it obviously does. He was trying to make the argument because he likes Trump so much that Trump has no part in that at all, not even a little. So I don't care what people say for the next 20 years. A lot of people are deceived by pseudo-intellectualism, but anybody with half a brain understands the concept I'm talking about. It's classic conservatism or libertarianism. You can't just print money. If you could print $6 trillion and not deal with any sort of inflation, what's the point of even being a conservative? Everybody knows you can't do that. That's the whole premise of our whole ideology. So why would people pretend like that wasn't the case just because their guy was in office? I mean, it doesn't matter what people think. I'm very self-aware. There's times I could have handled myself better. I won that debate. It's not even really debatable. So if people want to lie to themselves and hallucinate alternate realities, that's fine. But, there's things I've done in the past that could have been better. But as far as the premise of that debate, it's pretty obvious. And what I was saying that day was if people can't figure it out, then, it is what it is. But it's pretty obvious. Someone said they just printed monopoly money, pretty much. Let's see. I could be a key figure in this 2024 election. I could be, but I honestly, I don't really want to. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. I'm grateful that I play some sort of role. It's just a crazy time, man. I don't want to be in that type of spotlight because people are crazy, dude. It reminds me of if you're at a party. If you're at a party with 300 people, you don't like everybody. That dude's drunk. That dude's a piece of garbage. That dude's kind of creepy. That chick's a mess. That one's doing coke. You don't like everybody at a party. But when you get to a certain level of notoriety, it's just too much. Because then if you get in the spotlight, say I had a meeting with Kanye and I'm in the spotlight. Now I got every person calling me Hitler, calling me this, left wingers, Jewish conservatives, this person. Everybody starts turning on you you're you know what I'm saying? It's not fun. It's not ideal. I don't want that. I don't want any more fame than I already have. So I don't want to be a key player because the media is filled with psychos. And, I'm totally fine with living in different worlds than these other people. I almost don't want to cross paths with them because I'm there's a lot of mentally ill, deranged people calling themselves journalists. And I want them to live in their fake world and Just leave me out of it, you know? There's a lot of weirdos out there. Someone said, be true to yourself and the rest will follow. I think I'm going to leave that on the screen. I believe that. That's a good one, Phoenix Rising. You're totally right. Obama left 2.9%. When Trump came into office, Trump left 0.6 for Biden. I don't know what metrics you're talking about, but what I'm trying to say, John, is it's not all Donald Trump's fault. But he and McConnell and the Republicans printed trillions of dollars in 2020. So any metric you're going to try to say that he left or he put, that was a bad idea. All right, I'm getting kicked off my own live stream. The problem with a lot of conservatives and Trump supporters is they want to make excuses for failure and communism and socialism. And it's like, it's okay to say, hey, in hindsight, we could have done better. But at least say that. Like, stop being like, oh, he handed Biden. Dude, I'm back. You know, let's just be honest about it. Because this is why I don't even care what people think anymore in this movement. Because it's like a movement based on idol worship and like, fighting the left. Like if you're a Republican or conservative or libertarian and you can't admit that printing all that money in 2020 and vaccine socialism and lockdowns and all that was a bad idea, then what's the point of even being part of a movement that's so communist? Like, I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. So I don't believe in any of those things. But like the fact that so many people still think that Trump getting out of office in 2020, like handed Biden a great country. Like I don't like Joe Biden. I voted for Trump. Biden made it worse, but the lockdowns of 20, like, oh, all that's fine. And he handed Biden like a perfect, yeah. Like, come on guys. I don't know what's going on with my, am I back? Is it working? What do I think of the Libertarian Party? I think that, am I here? Is it working? Can I get some thumbs up? All right. I mean, maybe that's just a sign that I should leave. But anyway, you can hear me now, right? Sorry about that. I think the Libertarian Party does a lot of good things. I think the Libertarian Party is right on taxes. I think Dave Smith is an honest guy. Even with Kanye, if Kanye, this is my, like, I'm sorry to like switch back and forth, but if Kanye, this is my personal opinion. If Kanye runs as a Republican in the Republican Party, he can be president. If Kanye runs outside of the Republican Party, he's not going to be president this year. That's my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. I'm not going to tell him not to do it. But I think if Kanye wants to win, he needs to win as a Republican. With that being said, as Dave Smith, I understand that he wants to run it on the Libertarian Party. But if Dave Smith ran as a Republican, you know, I think he'd have a better chance. I understand he doesn't want to. I understand he wants to run as a Libertarian. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying you can't vote for him. But I've seen this story before. He's going to get under 2 or 3% of the vote, and it's not going to matter. So, you know, we can pretend that it's not going to happen, but it is going to happen. I remember during, during the governor run, people were so mad at me because I said, you know, Anthony Trimino just doesn't really have a chance in California. It's Larry Elder. He's going to get most of the votes. If anybody's going to recall Gavin Newsom, you know, it's probably going to be Larry Elder that gets the most votes. But it doesn't matter who you vote for in a recall because it's a different type of thing. Everyone got mad at me. You don't understand. He has a chance. Okay, tell me how big of a chance he has for a year. And then when the votes come in, Larry Elder has like 30% and Anthony Trimino has like 1%. Just like I said, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying this or that. That's the truth. You know, like people don't want to hear the truth when it doesn't. If I ran, I think I'm a good candidate. If I ran as a libertarian, guess what? I'm not going to win. So I'm not going to run and role play fake president and walk around for years and say, when I'm president, I'm going to do this. It's all a big grift, in my opinion, where it's like, if I'm president and governor, like you're not going to be though, because you're not running a campaign. I would even say that to Kanye West. If Kanye runs as an independent, it's not really a campaign, in my opinion. If Kanye runs as a Republican, he has a chance to win. But if he runs, it's just for show. If it's not in the Republican Party, that's my opinion. People get mad at it, but I don't go into a basketball game and say I'm going to win and lose by 80 points. Like, I'm honest with myself. So, I play to win. So if I'm going to run for president, I'm going to try to win. If Dave runs as a libertarian, I think it's interesting, but I think I don't understand the dynamic, but I get that he's just doing what he wants to do. But it's, I like him. I know people that are going to vote for him. I know people that aren't going to like what I said, but that's just personally how I feel. So I like the idea, and this might not be something that people want to do, but in Europe, they have blocks. So even when your block gets 15 to 20%, you have say. Now your block has 20%. The real fake Republicans have 30%. Now your block has kingmaker status. You get to make or break that party based on that. What I think, if I were to run as a libertarian, and I know they don't want to hear this, so it is what it is, and I'm not saying this because I'm telling them what to do, but if I ran as a libertarian and I was getting around 2 to 4 to 5 to 6%, I would go to the Republican Party and say, hey, listen, I understand that I'm just going to pull 4 to 5% away from you, most likely, and I'm not going to win the election. So here's what I want. And I put a list of libertarian demands. I want income taxes way lower. I want this. I want no more wars, and kind of try to play that European kingmaker status and say, use your power for good. That's what I think is smarter. They don't want to hear that. So they're just going to role play president and get blown out by 50 points. Just like, so, and then they're going to say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, let's fast forward a year and a half and see how many percentage points you get. So to me, that's the more logical step. But, I understand that they want to run. And I guess if I were to run, I would want to do something I could win. Maybe run for local office first. Personally, I think that libertarians don't even own that many, like, shouldn't they run for House? And you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't win a House seat, if you can't win a Senate seat, if you don't, like, how many libertarians are in city council? I'm sure there are some, but like, to me, that makes sense for the Libertarian Party. Build locally, get 10 local seats. Now you got 100 local seats around the country. You got thousands of seats, and now and then you build. But it's like, if you're just going to run for president and lose, I mean, I don't understand what it's going to really do, except for, drive the national conversation a little bit more. But, that's my personal opinion. It's not popular, but same with Kanye. Run as a Republican, you could win. Run independent, it's just a big show. Someone said, yay, running as a libertarian, left would pull votes. I mean, I don't know exactly how it would work, but, and, I understand why people would see another way. If you want to build another viable party, I think it's noble, but I guess this is the last thing I'll say. If you're going to do it under your own party and that's where you're going to go, really try to win, really try to make a move where you get such a big real estate that, like, now your party's bigger and has more money and grows and, can contribute. Because I just, I think there's a move to be made. But in politics, what I see is people love to, like, lie to themselves. Like, there's people in California that are just professional losers. All they do is raise millions of dollars and lose and lose and lose. But they don't mind losing because it puts them on a pedestal. It makes them feel good. They're professional losers. They run around the state. Everybody wants to take pictures with them. And if they weren't running for, is my stream off? I don't really know. People are saying. But in general, it's like, as soon as that running thing ends, I don't think Dave Smith feels this way because he has his own podcast. He doesn't need to do this. So I'm not saying this is Dave, but there are a lot of Republicans that they don't even really want to win. They don't want the show to end. The second they stop running, the show is over, So let me run for governor or Senate or whatever. I'll keep losing by 50 points. But, the second you stop running, people stop caring about you. People stop giving you money. So you're incentivized to run. I'm not saying that's Dave Smith. It's not. But that's very common in politics where, I don't want to lose. I'm not trying, so I'll vote for who I like the best. But at the end of the day, I'm realistic. It's just like, I'm not going to waste 3 years, lose by 50 points, and then tell people I'm running again and lose by 45 points. Like, why? The only point is money, fame, attention, personal gain, and, self-indulgence. Like, it doesn't really do that much. So we'll see. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a plan. That's mine personally. But, the people that get mad at me every time, they're like, no, he's going to get 3% of the vote and he's going to 1%, 2%. It's like, okay, now showtime's over, right? We're all going to stop pretending, whatever. Let's see. Someone said, this is a good question. Aaron said, why would Trump ever pardon Kwame Kilpatrick? That would be a great question for a right-wing journalist, right? Ask Trump that question. Why'd you pardon him? Stacey Abrams was president of Earth. Stacey Abrams, president of Earth. She's going to have that. That sounds like a shirt for her. She walks around like Hollywood nightclubs with a president of Earth shirt. They're like, Stacey, so you've lost 2 elections. She's like, yeah, but I'm getting pretty famous, Earth needs me. Anyway, I'm going to take off. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thanks for hanging out. Have a beautiful day. I'll be back soon. And just a few things for winter. What is it? November. I'm trying so desperately to finish my book. I hope I do. I'm getting close. It's good. I'm definitely honing in on like the end of it. And then I got to get a cover and everything. So just want to let you guys know at the bottom, dreamrarelinks.com has all my links. I have a Rumble page, BitChute, Facebook, YouTube, Cameo. I got to put that on there, but cameo.com/dreamrare. I'm doing those for the holidays. Also, dreamrare.com. Sorry, I'm trying to. God bless beanies. We have black ones. We have blue ones. Very soon, I'm going to have signed hats. I don't think I've announced this yet, but I'm trying something interesting for this Christmas. I'm going to do 13 signed hats or something. I think I don't even want to misspeak, but I have white hats, blue hats, pink hats. They're all signed. They're all numbers. There's only going to be 11, 12, or 13. I got to figure out the number, but that's how many hats I'm signing. So I'm going to put them on my website, and it's kind of like an exclusive anomaly thing because it's going to be numbered. Like this was season, 2022. I wrote on it. It's my personal handwriting. I signed the hats in marker. So interesting idea. We'll see if people buy them. I think they will, but maybe they won't. But, if you want these hats, I've signed a few hats before, but I don't really sign that much stuff. These are going to be like, I'm not selling thousands of them or hundreds. There's going to be like 11. So I think it's going to be more valuable and like pretty rare. If you like me and think in 10 years, it might be interesting to have a signed hat that only had 11 signed that year or something. Excuse me. That's what it is. I thought that was a cool idea. Next year, I'm going to try to do more stuff. And I wanted to say real quick before I leave, thank you to my Facebook subscribers. Thank you to Patreon. Thank you to people who do the super follow thing on Twitter. Thank you to everybody, but thank you especially people subscribing. I need to get better at this stuff because we got to do a Facebook live stream, but I'm not trying to cop out, but I do everything myself. Before, I don't even look at the clock, but when I start doing this was like a long time ago. It takes me an hour to do the intro video. It's like a 4-minute intro video. I make the thumbnail. I make everything. I do the whole thing. So it takes a long time. I'm usually like fried by the time I'm done. So I apologize that I can't do more for Patreon and Facebook, and I wish I could. And I still will do a little bit more. But in general, hopefully people understand because like the amount of content I'm putting out, I just can't work this much and get out this much content to the public if I don't do this almost every day. So I will get more stuff done. And I apologize. I fell a little short on certain things this month. I mean, I don't know. I would just like to do more, but that's kind of what it is. So thank you to everybody on Patreon and Facebook. We will do a Facebook live stream before the end of the year for Facebook supporters only. Patreon, I will do another Secret Stash podcast on there. I went on vacation this month as well, but someone said the intros are dope. Yeah, I mean, someone said my show's worse because I'm doing it differently than I used to. I understand that like certain elements of my old show I like better too because I spent 8 hours on a video and did it this way, but now it just doesn't make sense to spend that much time on a video when the whole format of everything's changed. But as far as the intro video, I think these are my best intros ever because I'm trying to make a full, like, I'm trying to explain it perfectly. If you watch the first 4 minutes of this video, I think it's usually like, you know, I'm explaining and chopping up. I'm trying to do a good job to make it shareable, appealing, and like, you know, I think my live stream is definitely way better than it used to be. Unfortunately, I have like 1/8 of the viewers, so maybe I need to partner up with Rumble or something so I could grow on a website that doesn't hate me. But all good. Everything's been fine besides that. The views are still the same. Like, I don't complain. I used to have, I'm just going to say this real quick. I used to have 6,000, 7,000 people in every Facebook live stream. And now I have like less than 1,000. With that being said, I don't see a difference in the views and monetization. So I don't even complain that much because, well, even if it was that way, it just is what it is. I can't really do much about it except for make a move. But in general, like I did a Facebook live stream on the Hunter Biden laptop. It got over 100,000 views, 150,000 views or something on Facebook. I don't know what it's at. It was at over 110 when I last looked. The revenue's there, the views are there. So if for some reason Facebook isn't showing it to people when I'm live, but they're showing it to people over the next course of the day, I'm not really getting less views on Facebook, you know, really. So I'm not like, I don't know why they're not showing it to people live, but it definitely doesn't seem like people aren't seeing it. And as far as YouTube, my YouTube numbers are doing better than ever. I think on Facebook, people would rather some of the new stuff, but when I do reaction videos like Lex Fridman or Roseanne on YouTube, it's been helping my page grow a lot. And I'm not doing it just because it's helping my page grow, but it's been 2 years, 3 years of me stagnant on YouTube. Like my money's cut in half on YouTube. My views are not going anywhere. Like subscriptions, this last couple months, it feels like they released something where I'm actually going upwards for the first time. So, you know, I don't know if my streams are better or worse, but this is just the format I'm doing now, given the tools, and the numbers seem fine. Like Instagram, TikTok's been deleted, but whatever. Appreciate you guys. Let me know in the comment section. And have a good day. I'll be back this week, and I'm about to go do a live stream or podcast with Eddie Bravo. He has a podcast. Check it out. Like in a couple of days, he'll probably post it up. I'm excited to talk to him. He's super loose and super like not censory. So I think it'll be fun. All right. See you guys. Have a good day.